I am so excited today to introduce you to Regina Lawrence. She is one of my dearest soul sister best friends, and we met in Fast Foundations, the mastermind, in early 2019. Oh my gosh, that sounds so long ago, but yet it was not that long ago. In this episode, we talk about so much because we're always highly caffeinated, but we really talk a lot about the power of a woman's perspective, finally getting paid to have those strong opinions, how safe spaces can truly unlock the power and potential within you, how this community has continued to support us each individually, and then the power of being in connection live, right? The continued education that comes by way of being involved in this program, in this group, because masterminds truly create a space to gather perspective outside your own current network or industry. And that was one of the things we really dove into in this conversation today. And it's interesting because we're both the type of people, and maybe you are too, that can figure shit out on your own. You really can. You have the skill set, you have the tools, but what you've learned maybe is that entrepreneurship can be a little bit lonely. It can be a little bit frustrating at times. And if you're like me, maybe you've wanted to quit a million times in the same day. And the beautiful thing about being in community and paying to be in a space like this is you have peers that you can lean on. And I know I've leaned on them quite a bit in the last 3.5 years of starting my new businesses, starting my own podcast, now becoming a podcast host for Fast Foundations, the podcast. There are many days where I have to lean into this community for that support, whether they actually know they're helping me or not. I'm constantly seeking out that real sisterhood, brotherhood that comes with the knowingness that they get it. They get what I'm going through. And that's something you'll hear, even without us really saying in this episode, is that we wouldn't be where we are if it wasn't for A, meeting each other, and then B, having this really strong, like-minded community. One of the things that Regina talked about that I also agreed with in this episode is how much she loved the streamlined education, right? Because you can, like I said, go to Google University and find out all the things. You can probably put yourself through 5 years of marketing and school and online this and that. 5 years, 6 years without any real guarantee to being able to raise your hand and get the actual real-time questions. That's why this mastermind is so powerful and why we continue to stay close to it as coaches. So you guys are going to love this episode. I could tell you all about it, but I want you to tune in. I hope you can take some notes. I hope this leaves you feeling empowered. Our DMs are always open. We love hearing from you guys. So let's dive in. Welcome back to Fast Foundations, the podcast. It's your host, Jess Bergio, and I'm here with one of my dear friends, and I guess she's my colleague, Regina Lawrence. Regina, welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, don't ever call me your colleague again. That feels so corporate. Oh my God, I just had PTSD from my past life.
Okay, well, just to give you guys some insight as to who Regina is, to me, she's not a colleague. She's my best friend. And we met by way of Fast Foundations, the mastermind, and we've been stuck with each other ever since. I would say the addiction is real only because we've fallen madly in love with each other and we've been able to find ways to support each other's life and business, which is, for me, if you've listened to the last several episodes, one of the main reasons why I joined Fast Foundations, the mastermind, was to find other high-level friends that I could do business and life with. Regina, I call
Jessica.
you Reg. Can I call you Reg on this? Is that appropriate? I mean, you're not my fucking colleague, so.
You can call me Reg. You can call me whatever you want within reason.
my hot stuff friend. Tell me a little bit about how you stumbled upon Fast Foundations, the mastermind, and what brought you into the program.
Okay, so I stumbled across Fast Foundations because I, like you, loved Lori Harder and started to follow her journey through life and business. And then I discovered her husband, Chris Harder. And at the time, he only had the elite mastermind. And I was brand new in business, coming from a very different world. And I said, if Chris Harder starts a mastermind for early level entrepreneurs, I will join it. And then he did. And I was like, well, putting this on a credit card and Jesus take the wheel. And so that's why I did it. Cause I believed in them and their mission. And I was like, whatever they're going to do is going to be really great. So I'm going to join.
Yes. See, similar stories tend to come out as we talk more and more about why people join the mastermind and kind of where the calling came from. I think we all were spoken to in a different language. For me, it was the accidental entrepreneur. I had fallen into entrepreneurship after almost 18 years behind the chair as, I guess, an accidental entrepreneur. But
Yeah.
I was at a place where I knew there was a lot of stuff I didn't know. Your background is much different, though. You know a lot of stuff. You're a very brilliant woman. You can do a lot of things very well. And I think you were at a place, if I'm not right, that you were also seeking like what else is out there. Like, I've started this
Mhm.
business, I think I kind of want to lean into this. I'm walking away from corporate, something I thought I would never leave. And I'm open to, like you said, Jesus, take the wheel, to see what's possible. And I think both of us, when we sat down in that first in person, were kind of like, holy shit, like there is
Yeah.
a lot of shit we don't know.
I literally was like, I don't know anything and I don't know what I'm doing.
Right. And I think we were both scared. I mean, the room was about 45 plus people at the time, and I think the majority of us felt the same way. And
Yeah.
also we're just kind of like, thank God I found this place, because I'm going to learn a lot of things that are going to be applicable to growing a business. And am I the only one who's getting all these secrets? Because it felt like we were getting a funnel drip of everything that the Harders had put together or had learned themselves over the last several years. So
Yep.
same thing, Chris at the Elite, and same thing for me. I was like, I hope he makes one for us early stage entrepreneurs.
Totally. Yeah, and that first mastermind that we did with them, we had our first event in person. And I remember leaving that event thinking, wow, like I literally learned every foundational thing I need to really launch my business online.
Right. And that's where we met Jim Carter, who is now the owner, along with RT Custer, of Fast Foundations and Mastermind.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know. And the journey to watching the boys like grow through their businesses and learn all the things, like you and I have stayed really close to Jim especially, but we've both been coaches in the last couple of rounds for the
Yeah.
mastermind, which has been amazing. How has been being a coach? And top secret, she's one of the coaches for this upcoming round because we begged her to be. But how has being a coach been for you the last couple of rounds?
Well, I love being a coach in Fast Foundations. One, part of my business since I left my practice as a lawyer has been being a business coach and consultant. And so I love getting to work with people who are in the same program that I did because a lot of the people I work with, like, I know where they're at, I know where they're coming from. I know at this point what you need to focus on and what you don't need to focus on. And I say like collectively, new entrepreneurs get obsessed with like the new thing, the shiny object, the sexy thing. And you and I talk about this all the time, Jess, like you have to like hunker down and like go all in on one or two things. And then to go all in on one or two things, you need guidance on, okay, I'm focusing on these one or two things. What is important in my marketing? What's important in my brand? Do I need a website? What should my offer be? Like it's really simple. You have to like really streamline it and make it simple. So I love to work with our Fast Foundation students and be like, hey, that's a great idea. Not yet. Like maybe next year, let's focus on what's going to make you money and build the foundation of your business right now.
So good. And it's so true, especially for those of us highly creative, shiny object syndrome squirrel brains. We want the shiny, fun things. We want it to be
Yep.
sexy. We want not an easy way, but we want the path to be very clear. And in the
Yep.
beginning, sometimes when you're stepping into entrepreneurship, you do have to try certain things on for size to see how they feel. And I think that's part of the story I'd love to share with our audience is your journey from business coach, strategy business coach, to what you're doing now, because I think the journey for you has been really amazing too, since leaving your practice doing law, then stepping into coaching, and now the evolution over the last 3 years that you're doing with your breath work and all of the extension to that. But you're still at your
Yeah.
core, like you're still my go-to person for any business related questions, because I think you can take the squirrel brains and you can say, like you just did, hey, that's a really great idea, but not right now. Let me help you
Yeah.
actually make money in your business so that you can continue on and chase those things later when
Totally.
they make more sense.
Right. So my background is I was a corporate litigator and a trial attorney and a law professor for 7 years. And the blessing of that education, because like the legal education, we say your first year of law school, they break you down, and they break you down because they break down the way you think. So after being a like going through law school and becoming a lawyer, I have a very strategic way of looking at everything. I have a way of looking at things where what's the strategy? How do I streamline this? How do I do this in an easier way? How do I optimize? So that is the brain I have now. So I took that and went into being a coach. So I did a lot of like first when I was coaching, I started off as a mindset neuro reprogramming coach for high performing stressed out women. And in the process of that, I was learning how to build my own coaching business. And so when I went to Fast Foundations and started to make my first friends, the comment I got was, "Why aren't you a business strategist? And why don't you ever tell people you're a lawyer?" Because I really like wasn't owning that. I was like, "No, I don't practice anymore." So from the influence of my friends in that group, I started to step into being a business coach and strategist. I did that for a few years and decided that I didn't want to do it as my full business anymore. During the course of those 3 years, I started a social media marketing agency. So I still have that agency. The agency has scaled substantially, and we build brands and we strategically create content for clients on all social platforms. So I have stepped away from business coaching, but I do high level brand strategy work in my agency. In the midst of all of this, I have had a death of self and a huge spiritual awakening. And one of the great pieces of the puzzle for me in changing my life has been breathwork. And I have seen just the incredible power of breathwork and sound meditation in my own life. And I decided to become a practitioner and launch a side of my business that is all healing arts modalities. So I have an agency, that's my masculine strategic brain. And then I have my breathwork, sound meditation, Reiki business on the other side.
Hey, I'm so glad you're here joining us for the launch of the Fast Foundations podcast. I have an opportunity that can massively change your business. When I joined the very first round of the Fast Foundations Mastermind, I felt stuck in my business because I didn't know what I didn't know. All I knew is I wanted access to more tools to scale my business, more examples of what's possible, and more like-minded entrepreneurs looking for the same. The next round of Fast Foundations Mastermind starts this September. This 6-month in-person mastermind was built for you. Join the next group of entrepreneurs that go from idea to owning their own business, from burnt out to having solid systems in place. We can't wait to see you in one of those seats. For more information, click the link in our show notes or just head to fastfoundations.com to learn more about this round and future opportunities we have coming up. So far from the days of the pencil skirts, Louboutins, and telling people they're right or wrong.
I mean, I still tell people when they're right or wrong.
No, yeah, you do. But I love that. And I think that isn't it ironic that we were probably the type of girls growing up that were like, don't be bossy, don't tell people what to do. And now we get paid to do it.
Yeah. The whole time, my whole childhood was like, why do you talk so much? Why do you have so many opinions about everything? And why are you so bossy? And look at us now.
Look at us now. Hey, so if you're resonating with this story, I want you guys to send us a DM and let us know if you were one of those kids growing up. You could be a boy that was too bossy too. But I think for a lot of women, it's like, don't talk so loud. Don't be so opinionated. Don't share your things. Like it's true. And so I think it's wonderful now to be able to have that death of self, as you call it, and find yourself through this process. And I think safe spaces like the program that we are a part of, Fast Foundations, the Mastermind, have created that for you, and not only have given you the tools to grow and scale any business you choose to start. That's the foundation we're talking about. Is she learned the foundations of tomorrow she could go start a different leg of business and it be just the same, because the foundations of business are what they are. Now, are they evolving and changing as time and technology and the algorithm and all? Of course, right? But that's the cool thing about staying with the program for an extended period of time like we all have. That's why Jim, RT, myself, Regina, and the other coaches that are part of this program stay so close to it, because It is what continues to nurture us, support us, grow us, challenge us to stay relevant so that our businesses continue to grow and scale as the world changes. And it does. There's no one size fits all.
And even us, like years into our business, we just had our live event a few weeks ago in Denver. And every time I'm in that room for the live event, like I learn something that I can implement in my business, or I learn something that I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I haven't thought about it that way. So even though I'm not a participant as like a student in the group anymore, I still learn every time I'm in that space. That's why I love being in that space.
Absolutely. And when she means our last event, the mastermind runs 2 3-day live in persons in the 6 month period if you're a part of the mastermind group. And they're the most impactful days that you will have the entire
Yeah.
year, I guarantee. And what she's saying is basically like, we can never get enough. That's why we stay close to it, because even as the coaches now, and even as the ones running our own businesses that are successful,
Yeah.
sitting in the back of the room, there's always something that you can take away and implement. And that's the power of being in those rooms and staying in community. We do have an online network as well that's part of it, because people ask questions that you haven't quite yet thought of, or they remind you of things that you've stopped implementing in your business or
Yep.
haven't leaned into or haven't, delegated, automated, or, added into what it is that you're doing. So I think the really cool thing is you have also been a part of other masterminds.
Yeah.
What has been the fundamental piece for you to stay close to things like that?
So the reason why I love masterminds in particular is that it allows you to connect with your peers who are in all different spaces. And so, when I think about marketing my business, I think about it from this Regina viewpoint. But when I talk to you, Jess, about marketing my business, you have had a life in the hair industry. So you have a different vantage point. And then I meet another friend in the mastermind who's a realtor, and they have a different viewpoint. And so it gives this like kind of whole world perspective on different ways to see your business and different ways to do things, which I love. It also feels good. Entrepreneurship is very lonely. Like the day to day of building a business, I can talk to people about it, but oftentimes when you're building a business early, you're just doing it yourself or maybe with an assistant, and it gets really lonely. So it's nice to have peers who you can be like, I'm having this really hard time. I'm feeling like an imposter or whatever's coming up, and have them know and have empathy because they're probably in the same space.
Exactly. No, for sure. Truth be told, probably would have quit several times if I didn't have the community to lean back into.
Yeah.
And I think that's true for a lot of entrepreneurs, because it can be super fun and glamorous and there are sexy parts about it, but it can also be truly lonely, frustrating. I'll just say frustrating times 10,
Yeah.
because you don't have anybody to lean on. You don't have anybody to bounce those ideas and questions off of. You only have your perspective or maybe your business partner's perspective. So what was one of your favorite parts about Fast Foundations, like when you were one of the mastermind students?
Mm, I loved like streamlined learning about everything pretty quickly. That felt really good for me. I loved the friendships that I made. So when I left being an attorney, one of the reasons why I left is I realized that I love to do business with people who I love. And in that environment, you don't get to choose your friends. You don't get to choose your colleagues. Like you just end up with them. But as a business owner, I get to choose who I do life and business with. And so in a mastermind, you meet all these people. From that first round of Fast Foundations, my like business best friends have come from it. You, Jackie Service, Jim Carter. And I just think like I don't think I know that I wouldn't have the businesses I have without the friendships, not just connections. Connections are great, but like the deep rooted friendships I made in that community.
So good. So true. So true. Because what is that quote? You are the sum of the five people you spend the majority of your time with.
Yeah.
It's so true. And I felt like in the group that I was rolling with before, my hair peeps, and it was the environment I put myself in. So I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying, stating the obvious. Like the goals and dreams that I had were too big of a conversation to be had over a glass of wine after a 10-hour day slanging hair. Like nobody
Yeah.
wanted to dream big with me and talk about the ifs, ands, or buts of growing a business. They were just, getting by, getting through, surviving till the next day. And that's neither here nor there, but putting myself in a room with people who are willing to have conversations to tell you maybe your dream's not even big enough. And on
Mhm.
top of that, like, hey, I can help you get there. And have you thought about this? And I have a friend who knows this. And that's one of the things our mentor, Chris Harder, always says is you're one question or one person
Person, yeah.
away from the answer that you need, which is like the next step you need to take or the next introduction you need to be made. And, there's something about also, I love all these catchphrases that I've somewhat memorized, even though I can't remember
Mhm.
anybody in my life's birthday. Your network is your net worth. And
Yeah.
I don't think I truly knew what that meant until I experienced it firsthand within this group. And then the residual effect being in the group has had for me with the podcast, my
Yep.
salon. I would have never opened my salon. I would have never started those networking groups for my industry.
Yep.
I would have never had the support through the closure with the pandemic. I would have never had the guts to go out and start my own coaching business and let go of 20 years behind the chair clientele business.
Mhm.
The proof is in the pudding. So if you pull the average sum of people who have gone through the program and see where they're at now, which is, by the way, what we're going to be doing on this podcast, the pleasure I get to have is with interviewing past alumni from Fast Foundations, the mastermind, and sharing the exact same things I'm sharing with you right now, the experiences they've had, so that you can see what it's really like to be a part of a group that's as awesome as this one.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, so we didn't even mention too. So we skipped over the fact that yes, Regina is one of the support coaches along with me here inside the mastermind, but she also has an amazing breathwork membership, and she is our in-house breathwork facilitator for all of us
Mhm.
who run the program, and also for the students of Fast Foundations. So I just want to give you a second to talk about your membership because I think it's a really integral part I too have been using in my life, which is breathwork, and I got to experience your class finally. And I'm such a bad friend. In person, though, I'm an in-person person, but this
Yeah.
membership is for anybody who can't get to you, have access to you in person. You've made it accessible, and I hear it's just as good virtually. So I'm going to try it very soon. But can you tell anybody listening how they too can like feel the power of the breathwork with you?
Yeah, so as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, or even just a success driven purpose, I think that breathwork is one of the most powerful modalities. And I like to say that breathwork is an embodiment practice, meaning in our day to day life, whether you realize it or not, you kind of leave your body. You're not present in your body. You get stressed, you get anxious, you hold your breath. You're not really present in your person. When you are a business owner, you are the business. You are the foundation of your business. And so the foundation of your business has to be clear. It has to be present. And the more you can be in your body, embodied, the better you can hold the business as it grows. And so breathwork has done that for me. And I wanted to be able to bring it to people, whether they're in person with me or not. So I started a breathwork membership. It's called Breathe with Regina, breathewithregina.com. And I offer 2 virtual breathwork sessions a month, and then a library of all past breathwork and sound meditation experiences. So wherever you are, it's super affordable. It's $44 a month for 2 live breathwork sessions in the library. I've made the membership where it's like you have no excuse to try it, to drop in, and as it's growing, I'm putting in different styles of breath work, different meditations. So that way, wherever you're at and whatever you need, there is support for you in the membership.
That's amazing. So you guys run, don't walk. Check that out. Breathewithregina.com. And are any parting words? Because if you are joining us for the next round, which is just coming up here in September, we can't wait to see you. We can't wait to support you in your business. If you have any questions, our DMs are always open. Uh,
Yes.
any parting words, Reg?
If this is something that you've been considering, and I know that a lot of people listening are like watching from the sidelines and they were thinking about when Chris and Lori owned it, and now they're like, oh, like, do I want to do it? If you have been thinking and sitting with it, my advice is to just to do it. The sooner you do it, the sooner you step in, the quicker you will see change in your business and in your life.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And Jim and RT have taken the torch from Chris and Lori and have really not spared a detail on how they're going to evolve it. So it's gone from a 5-month container into a 6-month container. So you actually get like almost a whole month for free included, the same kind of price point with 2 live in-persons that are really, I think, the meat and potatoes of what it really is. But there's so much support throughout the time that we're not actually in person together to keep you on track, to keep you held accountable, to keep the juices flowing and have a safe space to ask questions and to really stay on track with what's trending, what needs to be going out, and places and people to automate and delegate things to, because I found everything I need for my business inside these groups.
Totally.
And same for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. So, you guys, we love spending this time with you. If you love the podcast, please rate and review it on Apple, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen. And, you know, your girl likes to hear. She's doing a good job. So, tag us on social media. Tell us your takeaways and tell us if you're going to join us in the next round of Fast Foundations and Mastermind. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys.